and triple down on the unfounded rumor. Even this morning, your Senator, J.D. Vance, reposted a graphic video of what seems to be cats roasting on a backyard grill, although there is nothing to confirm what's actually happening or when and where it was recorded. What's your reaction, Congresswoman?
Well, thank you for having me, Reverend. Now, this is just disrespectful. As you said, it's very racist. This is the same guy who we know started the birther movement. This is the same guy, as you pointed out during the convention, who wanted to have the Central Park, now the exonerated 5, executed. This is the same guy who has called African nations and Haiti as whole countries. This is not new to us. This is the same old tired playbook, as Vice President Kamala Harris said. So now we're talking about just putting more racist rumors out about Haitian people who are legally here, hardworking, looking to accomplish the same things that you and I are, to protect and provide for their families. But because these people have no bottom, they have no boundaries, they just continue to perpetrate misinformation, disinformation, and lies. And the victims are usually people that look like me and you. And
I'm glad you added people that look like you and me, because if you're looking, you don't know the difference between a Haitian or a Trinidadian or anybody else black. So everyone is under siege here. Congresswoman, you and I have been attending the Congressional Black Caucus Conference. You're a member of the caucus, where yesterday we heard President Biden and Haitian Americans like White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre condemn Trump's attacks on Springfield's Haitian community. Take a listen.
I want to take a moment to say something like so many Americans, like Karine, as he pointed out, a proud Haitian American community that's under attack in our country right now. Simply wrong. There's no place in America. This has to stop what he's doing. It has to stop. Today, recognize that this nation would not exist, and this is literal, without the blood, sweat, and tears, without the determination, dreams, and contributions of black Americans. That's a fact. This place wouldn't exist.
I'm disappointed but not surprised that black political figures are having to respond to these kinds of racist tropes at this stage of the 2024 race. What are your feelings about how low the Trump campaign has been willing to stoop?
Well, when I think they can't go any lower, they surprise me. And what is so important to me as an Ohioan, we have a rich history in Ohio. I mean, beautiful people like Lou Stokes, who have represented our political state very well. Carl Stokes, my predecessor, Marcia L. Fudge, a Secretary of HUD, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, first African-American woman from Ohio to be elected to Congress. It's just, we could be talking about Steve Harvey, Dave Chappelle, Springfield's own John Legend, Yvette Nicole Brown, Kim Whitley. But here we are talking about Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance and their continued efforts to try to disparage, disrespect, dehumanize, demonize black people. This man has been married to 2 immigrants, and we do not hear him talking about immigrants like that. And so to me, it is very clear where his disdain is pointed. It is directly at black and brown people, the same man who called Mexicans rapists and thugs. Right. So we are clear about who Donald Trump is, and when a person shows you who they are, we should believe them.
And clearly playing on the old racist theory that black people are cannibals and eat each other. I should mention we just learned the meeting of Haitians in Springfield scheduled for tonight has apparently been canceled over safety concerns. That's new information tonight. You mentioned singer John Legend is a Springfield, Ohio native. He issued this response to what's happening in his hometown. Take a listen.
I think all of us need to have the same kind of grace that we would want our ancestors to have when they moved here, with our Haitian brothers and sisters who move here too. And nobody's eating cats, nobody's eating dogs. We all just want to live and flourish and raise our families in a healthy and safe environment.
Now, I've worked with John Legend on the documentary on my life, Loudmouth, which is now up for an Emmy. And while he's always been outspoken, I've never seen him quite as fired up as he is about this controversy playing out in his hometown. Why do you think this story has resonated so deeply, particularly with black people outside of Springfield, Ohio? At my rally in Harlem this morning, I flew back and did it and came back again. People are outraged by this. Why is it resonating so deeply?
Because it's so ridiculous. It's just so absurd to try to place such disgraceful and, again, dehumanizing characteristics on our people. And so I think it calls for folks to rise up and challenge this narrative. I think people have grown incredibly tired of the racist rhetoric that has come from the Trump-Vance campaign. And it's only a snippet of what we can expect if they get their hands back on the power switch and in control of the White House. This is a page out of Project 2025. We talk about mass deportation. Where does that start and stop? And so this is just an example of what we can expect if they get their hands back again on the White House. And they do not by any stretch of the imagination deserve this type of power and to be in a position to be able to be the most powerful people in the world.
Let's get back to the Congressional Black Caucus. The CBC released a first-of-its-kind report this week of where our nation's largest corporations stand on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. Pledges they made, these corporations made 4 years after George Floyd's murder. And despite Republican attacks on corporate diversity practices, following the Supreme Court's overturning of affirmative action last year, the CBC found that most Fortune 500 have kept their commitments, though the caucus outlined where companies could improve. Why do you think most of these companies have stayed the course?
Well, the good news is most of the companies have stayed the course. I think they recognize that DEI policies are beneficial. When you expand the network, when you expand the pool, when you level the playing field and you put people in positions that they ordinarily may or may not have had due to just the color of their skin or their gender, that broadens the opportunities. And so it's a numbers game at the end of the day. You know, when you're more inclusive, your opportunities expand. And so they recognize that. And we are so grateful for the more than 180 companies who responded to our survey. The response rate was incredibly high for a project like this. So I would encourage folks to go to cbc.house.gov to look at that report. It is a phenomenal report led by our chairman, Stephen Horsford, an initiative that he put forth because too many of companies were given lip service, and those who withdrew their efforts of DEI got a lot of attention, but we need to applaud those who are actually staying the course.
Absolutely. And the insult is they believe in diverse consumers. They just don't want to deal with diverse employment, corporate jobs, and contracts. Thank you. Glad to have you in studio, Congresswoman Shontel Brown. Let's turn now to the battleground state of Pennsylvania, where Vice President Harris held a rally last night. Take a listen.
Since I was a child, I know the character and the person who is a small business owner. You're not only business leaders, you're civic leaders. You hold the community together. You're part of the fabric of the community, and small business owners are the backbone of America's economy. The backbone of America's economy. Which is why part of my plan that you heard about the other night will give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing that not everybody, like my opponent, got handed $40 million on a silver tray and then filed for bankruptcy 6 times. And people sometimes just need the opportunity.
Joining me now is State Representative Malcolm Kenyatta, who represents Pennsylvania's 181st District in Philadelphia and is the Democratic nominee to be the state's next Auditor General. Thank you for joining me tonight, Malcolm. Let me go to this. The Vice President of The vice president appeared last night in Wilkes-Barre alongside Governor Josh Shapiro and Senator Bob Casey. What's the state of play right now in Pennsylvania? Do you think Democrats have the momentum to win that state?
You know, we certainly do. And the vice president's commanding performance at the debate helped to further that. You know, what you saw at that debate was one person who had a serious plan for the future and another person who makes it clear every single day with every single statement that he only cares about himself. And your incredible conversation with the Congresswoman, you know, drives home the point that not only is Donald Trump not have a vision for the future, but we should all be a little concerned, you know, about him, about his mental wellness, about his ability to do what is the toughest job in the world, and also somebody who's so small and so weak that he's constantly engaged in the type of racism, race-baiting nonsense that we see. And Toni Morrison, you know, said it best, that the serious function of racism is to keep us distracted for constantly explaining our reason for being. People want to be treated with dignity and respect. They want a good economy. They want a safe community. And only one candidate on that stage talked about it and is out campaigning about it. I'm on my way to Westmoreland County right now. You know, pretty conservative county at this point, but Democrats are fired up. And I think independents and Republicans who may have even voted for Trump in the past are sick and tired of the carnival show.
Now, you represent, frankly, a new generation of leadership in Pennsylvania, young, black, and the first openly LGBTQ person to be elected to the state assembly. We've seen the Trump campaign try to make inroads with young black voters in your hometown of Pennsylvania. What message does the Harris campaign need to counter this pitch? Because we know in your state, every vote will matter.
It's going to be close, and folks who are watching should understand that and take stock of that. That, you know, when Joe Biden won, I think it was like 5 votes per precinct was the difference. In this race, it's going to be close as well. And Vice President Harris says it all the time, that she's the underdog in this race, but we're organizing to win. And a part of it is organizing around these very serious and thoughtful, you know, principles that she's laid out about an opportunity economy. It is a big deal to finally have a president, I'm already calling her president, to have a candidate who's talking about making sure everybody has their little piece of the American dream, building 3 million new homes, giving people the opportunity to afford that down payment. Her focus on helping people start small businesses. I will tell you, I hear more from black men more than anything else that they want the opportunity to start a business, but they don't have, you know, parents by and large who are going to give them huge sums of money, you know, for startup costs. And so that can be a real barrier for people who have a good idea to want to jump out there and have that great idea, you know, getting out in the marketplace. She is talking about expanding those tax credits to write off those first-time business expenses up to $50,000. That's a huge deal. And it's because of that type of vision that I'm confident we are going to win this election. We're going to win black voters. We're going to win up and down the ballot for Democrats because we have a leader who understands what's at stake and is speaking to the concerns that people have, the real concerns that people have, not nonsense that Donald Trump is constantly focused on.
Now, Pennsylvania's highest court on Friday threw out a lower court ruling that would have required election officials in the state's 2 most populous counties to count valid mail-in ballots that had the incorrect date or no date at all on the outer envelope. In 2020, Philadelphia was targeted by Trump loyalists trying to claim without evidence that widespread election fraud was being used to steal the election. Are you feeling confident that Democrats are ready for whatever challenges Republicans